Hi, parents. So this one's a rough one, and unfortunately, this is something that I talk with parents a lot about, is whether or not threats of suicide are a cry for help, a cry for attention, or something that you need to take action on. Is it the real deal? So which is it? And the answer to, is it a cry for help? Is it a cry for attention? Or is it a cry for a need for a deeper level of safety? The answer is yes. It's all of them always. And unfortunately, I have had the opportunity to work with parents who have lost their children to suicide. It's not something you get over. I say that because it's important for you to realize every time a child talks about suicide, it's a serious issue. It's never just a cry for help. It's never just a cry for attention. It's both of those things. It's all of those things. And I want you to think about it this way. If life is so bad that your child feels that there's nothing worth living for, or that it's never going to get any better than it is, then we have a problem. If the child feels that life is so out of control that the only way they can control the situation is to manipulate it by leveraging their own safety, well, then there's a problem. The level of problem that a suicidality or suicidal ideation speaks to is the kind that you need extra support and help to navigate. If your child threatens suicide, if your child talks about suicide, if your child has been journaling or posting online about suicide, your child needs to go to the hospital. Your child needs to talk to a social worker who is skilled in navigating this event, these types of conversations. Now, there is such a thing as venting and intenting, but that takes a social worker, a licensed therapist, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist to be able to navigate that. As parents, we get very, very wrapped up in every emotional experience that the kid is going through. When suicide is put on the table as an option, and right now, in this day and age with this generation, suicidality seems to be an option. There seems to be it's on their field of choices of something that you can do to either get your way or to either solve the problem. Both of those are bad. Both of those are speaking to something going on at a much deeper level than just being a manipulative child. If a child is leveraging suicide to manipulate the situation, there is dysfunctional thinking going on. They need therapy and they need immediate support. If your child threatens suicide, call 911. Do not hesitate. Do not second guess. Get help immediately. Because what I know, it's much better to overreact than underreact. Because suicide is not something you get over. Suicide is something that you have to learn how to live with for the rest of your life. And we all know that the person who commits suicide, their suffering may be done, but everybody around them, their suffering has begun. If the social worker or the therapist decides that it's venting, that they're just venting, they're having a stressful time, so they're talking about it, and then maybe a hospital trip isn't necessary, but therapy is. When our brains entertain the idea of suicide as a solution, as an ideal experience beyond what is going on, then we really need to have our thoughts checked into. We need to have our emotions checked into, and this both needs to be done by a therapist, a licensed professional. Those aren't fun answers, I know. If your child struggles with suicidal ideation, you can call Fire Mountain 303-443-3343 and see if residential is right for your child. If your child threatens suicide, call 911. Get help immediately. It's much better to overreact to this situation. Okay, take care of yourself, parents. Take care of your adult relationships second. Then take care of your children.